going on, everyone? Hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's having a good winter, good January. The month's almost over. Getting close to wrapping up this build. You can see the body's back off. What I'm working on today, we're working on the working man's hot rod. For a little while I was calling this car the trash can because the condition of it was just so bad. But I'm at this point now, it's really not that bad anymore. So realistically, I think I really should be calling this car the working man sedan. I think it deserves a little more respect at this point. I'm gonna get right to it on this video. What I'm doing now, I already pulled the body off. As you guys know, I got the car sitting on all four wheels and tires. The motor is sitting in the chassis. I do not have the transmission cross member on yet, and I don't have the front axle caster set yet. So that's what we're gonna be working on today. The first thing I'm going to work on is we're going to get to work on the wishbone mounts. I need to pie cut the wishbones, and what I mean by that is the wishbone arms themselves. They're already split. I bought them that way. They're on it's a Model A complete front end, so it has mechanical drums. So whoever purchases this car in the future is going to have to convert the front to hydraulic drum brakes in the front. But what we're going to do today, like I said, is I have to pie cut the wishbones to angle up the wishbone arms so I can mount them into on the mount plate with the bung and everything. So we're going to get some metal cleaned up, get those bungs welded in the ends of the wishbones, and just start working on doing some relief cuts on the wishbones and getting those wishbone mounts, everything lined up and tack welded onto the frame. Once that's done, I think what I'm going to do next is get to work on my transmission cross member. And once the transmission cross member is in, I need to get my rear radius rods. I need to get some mounts fabricated and then get those radius rods mounted up to as close to the back of the transmission as I can. I think I kind of went over that on an earlier video just because of the geometry and the way things need to work, so I can try to make sure that this car gives a smooth ride when it's riding down the road, and hopefully, you know, it's built right. I want the car to be built right, and I think, you know, realistically that's what you're supposed to do. You'd see on older cars back in the day, the wishbones on the rear axle would be mounted on tie rod ends on the sides of the frame rails on the back of the car. I think that would give you a lot of binding in the rear suspension. It would not allow the rear suspension to pivot the way it needs to. I think it would be a real static ride, and I don't want that to be the situation with this car. So first I'm going to do work on the wishbones, and then hopefully the transmission cross member. It's Thursday night. It's kind of late in the afternoon. It's date night. Thursday night's always date night with Allie and I. She may come home, we may go out, she may go stop at one of her friends and go out to dinner and have a couple drinks with one of her friends. If that's the case, then I'll get to spend a little more time in the shop. If not, what we'll just work on today is the wishbones. It'll just be a short video. So let's get to work. What I'm going to do first is we're going to move this so I can get you guys up close and personal with the front end of this car. I'm going to put you guys on top of the wheels. I know you guys saw the wheels before in an earlier video. These are them. They're all dry. So those are the wheels and tires you guys saw. The wheels, tires are in my shipping container. I was going to mount the tires and the tubes and everything myself. I'm so busy with work. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop them off at my local tire guy. His name's Louis Matty Tire in Middleborough. Awesome guy, awesome company. His grandfather was an old hot rodder, and Little Lou, I call him. He's not little anymore, but to me he's known as Little Lou. He's got a 37 panel truck, Ford panel truck that he's building now also with a flathead in it. And I like to support him, make sure, you know, I do all I can for him to help him, try to give him as much business as I can. So I'll probably get these wheels and tires up to him before the end of the week. And fronts are F1, they're 15x5s I believe, and the rears are F100, 15x6s. Or I could be wrong, could be 5.5s and 4.5 or whatever it is. Bigger in the back and smaller in the front. I'm going to get you guys set up. We're going to get to work cleaning up some metal. I'm going to get these bungs here mounted in the ends of the wishbones. We'll be able to get these tack welded and put on the car and get this axle caster set up just like I did on the T. I'll show you guys as we go. I'm going to drop you guys all the way down. Yeah, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. All right. So let me go grab my little flat disc and get all the metal cleaned up, metal inside cleaned up so I can get these welded. If you've never seen one of these kits, this is a pretty typical kit. I'm not exactly sure the brand of this kit. Mick McCullough out of Hanson kindly enough donated these to me. I didn't know what I was going to use them for, but I think he realized I'm probably going to end up building something. He found them in his garage and ended up dropping them off one day. So this bung goes inside the wishbone, and then I'll bevel this edge once I clean up the metal and get that welded in place there. And then this mount will sit up here like so. And then the mount will connect to the wishbone. So alright, let's get this cleaned up. Let's get to work. Alright. Grab my welder. I'm just going to get this tacked in place for now. Need a little bit of a space. So what I'm going to do, a lot of people run their wishbones like this, so the bung will be on the outside like that. What I'm going to do to add turning radius is I'm going to flip this around. So instead of the wishbone end being on the outside of the plate and outside of the frame, I'm going to flip it around and put it inside the frame like that. What that does is it moves the wishbone into underneath the frame towards the center of the car more, and you would be amazed at how much it increases your turning radius. A lot of early hot rods, they have the wishbones mounted on the outside of the frame. They have a very small turning radius, or a limited turning radius. It's not necessarily small, but the inside of the tire will rub the outside edge of the wishbone. This may not correct that, because you can just turn further, but it will allow you more turning radius. So if you're in the process of building an old hot rod, instead of mounting the wishbone like that with the bung on the outside, just simply flip it around. Or even better yet, if you have the room and you have a boxed frame, you could always run it like that underneath the frame like that, or you could even flip it around that way and move it in even more. The more triangulated your suspension is, the better it's going to work. So that's just a tip. That's what I've learned since I've been building hot rods, and that's how I do things now, if given the opportunity, if I'm building a car from scratch. So at this point now I have my plate. I can't just weld it to my frame because I don't know where it's going to end up. I can't pull this wishbone up because I don't want to adjust the caster. I have the caster set right now at 8 degrees. I have the jack stand, my jack stand sitting underneath it with some shims underneath the tie rod, and that's holding this up where it's at. At this angle here, that's the front angle of where my perch pin boss is on my axle. It's 8 degrees. So that's what I'm going to run for axle caster on this car. So now what I need to do is I'm going to have to pie cut the top of my wishbone behind my tie rod, and then slowly start bending it up with this plate on it. Bend it up, bend it up, bend it up till it reaches to there. Once it gets to there and there's no binding, I'll clean up the metal, figure out exactly where it's going to go, and I'll get this plate tack welded in place. Now you can bolt it. They give you the option, obviously. They have the bolts, the holes already cut out, or you can weld it. I'm going to weld it. It's just easier. For right now, I'm going to clean this metal off anyways and get it ready, so when I'm ready to weld it on, I can. I mean, I figure it's probably going to end up somewhere in between these two brackets. It would help if I plugged it in. Yeah, it would. We'll grab a cut-off wheel and just get that wishbone pie cut. Move you guys so you can see what I'm doing. So where I'm going to cut this is right here, about an inch behind my tie rod. If you cut the wishbones up front, it won't have clearance for the tie rod unless you were to modify the tie rod, which I don't really want to do. So I'm going to cut it right here. So I'm going to grab a tape measure from the back edge of the axle out, and then I can be able to do the same measurement on the other side, so I know my marks are even, my cuts are even. Not something you need to do, but you know, you might as well try to do a good job if you can, given the opportunity. So let's go 7 inches back. So I'm going to make one vertical cut most of the way through, and then I'll start opening it up to a pie shape. Now I don't want to go too drastic with my cut. I don't want to open it up too much and then not, you know, have any material to weld. So I'm just going to take my time and open it up. Probably take a few cuts to do it. Move you guys back so you can see. There's really nowhere else I can keep you guys. I know you understand. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try to hold the axle down. Pull this up. Close that gap. You can see already now my wishbone is essentially level, but I still need to come up a little bit more. I need to come up another 4 inches or so. So I'm going to push it back down and open it back up again. Still got to come up some. I don't want to rotate the axle at all. I want to keep my tie rod right on top of my jack stand. So I think one more blade width should probably do it. So I'm going to open it up gently and do another blade width. And then that should be it.
Now we're picking our heads up, wondering when the well went dry, asking where it all went.
There you go. That's it. Alright, so what I'm going to do now that I got my tie cut done, it took a few slivers out, slide this mount on, holding my tie rod on the jack stand, keeping it from moving. I have enough movement now where I can weld this plate onto the side of the frame. I'm not going to weld this yet. The reason why is in case anything moves afterwards, I can always push down on my wishbone and close this up a little bit and then get that tacked in place. But I do need to clean the metal up before I weld that. So let me remove the primer or coating off of this metal first so I can get this welded in place. And the next half of the video will be me doing the other side, and then maybe we'll get into the transmission cross member because this really doesn't take that long. Clean this up real quick and we'll get this one tacked in place, and then we'll check the caster, and then we'll get this area welded up.
Step back and look at the top. Been making bad days.
So again, I rotated my tie rod inside so it's tucked in further for more turning radius. I mean, if it was a heavier channel and the body came down past the wishbone, that would also help doing it this way because then there's nothing to interfere with the body, but that's not the case. So if you're channeling your car more than 6 inches, the body will come down over the wishbone mount. Unless you go through the side of the body will come down and cover it. If you spin your tie rod and move it on the inside, then you eliminate any clearance issues you may have. Food for thought. Alright, let's get this tacked in place, and like I said, we'll clean up that metal and we'll get over to the other side, maybe. Real quick, we'll see. I want to check my axle caster real quick and make sure to find my gauge. Here it is. Magnetic. Put it right on the front of the axle. I'll show you. Grab my phone. I'll show you with my phone. Little gauge finder. Put it right on the perch pin boss. Vertical. And then read it. I am at 7.7 degrees. And if I push down here like that, it will probably adjust it. Yeah, 8.21, 8.1. So I'll be able to get it roughly right at 8 degrees. I mean, if it's a little over, if it's a little over, a little under, it's fine. So right now I'm essentially at 8 degrees. I'm at 7.9 degrees. So you minus 82 from 90, that's what you get, 7.9. I bet if I would have add a little tack weld on the top edge of that cut, I bet it would suck it down to at least 82, if not maybe a little under. So let's see. I'm just going to add a little tack weld right onto the top. I'm going to clean this up real quick right here, and I'm going to add a tack weld right there, and I bet it'll close that gap. Let's try it. I cleaned it up real quick, added a tack weld on the top of my wishbone. It was at 82.1, 81.9. So I'm essentially exactly at 8 degrees. You know, because it's going to move a little bit. So that's how you do it. That's how you mount the the split wishbone on a Model A hot rod, or any hot rod to be honest with you, without a dropped axle. If I had a dropped axle, this wishbone would be up here and it would be more even. I would have ended up running a different steering setup. I would have had different spindles, different steering arms, different tie rod, and I would have been able to probably cut it here instead of back here behind the tie rod. But this is essentially the same thing, and now it's a little bit free. So there you go. So now in the future what I need to do is I need to just clean up this metal, both sides, and then get that welded completely, get this welded completely, and get the bung welded completely. And that'll be it for this side. I'm gonna go do the same right now for the driver's side. So that's it. Pretty simple.
Draw a party line, baby, pick a side. It don't much matter if it's left or right.
I'm roughly getting the threads even, the length of the thread exposed on my wishbone. It's nice to have the adjustment in case things are a little out of alignment. You can adjust everything. You can straighten out and square the axle on the frame with these adjustments here. All right, let me get this plate tacked in place, and then I'll check my caster, and then we'll get the top of the wishbone tacked in place.
You just mean it. There ain't no retreat.
You guys back, grab my angle finder. So my last one was at 81.9 on the passenger side. This side right now is, not touch the car, 83.0. So I'm just over 1 degree off. Move this. I'm going to step on this and see what I get. 82.4. So I need to just take a blade width out of that, close it up just a little bit, and then get it welded.
We'll beat each other up with what we know. Keep our head.
See where I'm at now. 81.9. Ha! That's exact. Alright, I'm going to just hit it with a tack real quick, and then check it. Check that. 81.9. What do I have? 82.0. Not too bad. Let me check this side. 82.0. So I have 8 degrees caster at this point with these wheels and tires. 81.9 now. So I'm right there. 81, 82.0, 82.1. So I'm within 1/100th of a degree. So that's it. That is a quick how-to mount your split wishbones on your Model A frame. Alright everyone, that's just going to be a real quick video. Obviously I have to finish weld the mounts. I have to finish weld around the wishbone where I pie cut them. But that's a real quick video on how to pie cut and mount your wishbones on your frame rail. Again, I tucked them inside to give myself a little bit extra radius for a turning radius, and you can do whatever you want to do. This is just how I'm building this car. The reason why I'm doing it that way is my friend Joe's helped me a lot in the past building my cars, and he's given me a lot of tips and tricks and advice because he's done this a lot longer than I have. And now that's something that I'll carry on to each build. Why wouldn't you want to have more turning radius on a hot rod? And then that's it. Like I said, finish weld a few things, a few adjustments. Once I get my wheelbase set, I got my caster already set. I want to make sure the axle is square to the chassis. And I have a lot of adjustment in those tie rods, about 1 inch each way adjustment. Yeah, so that's it. So quick video. Thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. So as you guys know, it's the day after my latest big purchase. I am now the owner of an original 1932 Ford Roadster. A car that never in a million years did I ever think I would own. And I own it. And I'm still kind of beyond words about the car at this point. I'm still researching history. I've had my nose buried in cool cars and square roll bars. It's a local New England, kind of like a journal of a lot of old cars back in the day, and I'm just painstakingly going picture by picture, page by page, looking for this car. Do I think it's going to be in there? No. Is it possible? Sure. But the odds of it, not that likely. There was a lot of cars with the same treatment that this car has, but there are a couple of unique features. Like every single hot rod, there's a couple of unique things that set this one apart, and I'm just kind of going through the pictures looking to see if I can find it up front and center in a photo or somewhere in the background at Sanford Drags or Connecticut Speed Dragway. I just don't know. So fingers crossed I find out some history. I do have a few names, but I know those two gentlemen that own the car, they never drove the car. It wasn't a complete car. It was just a body, as far as I know. And I spoke with the gentleman I purchased the car from. Fingers crossed. And you guys, please cross your fingers, your toes, your legs, anything that you can cross for me. I'm really hoping I end up with the motor that was potentially going to be with that car. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. It's a motor that I don't own, and that I don't have, or I've never had, but I've always wanted. And to have it in an old Massachusetts hot rod. It's not the motor that was in the car, I don't think. I don't know, but I don't think. But I think it was the motor that Ted was building to put in this car. And if that is the case, then I'm hoping I end up with it, because I want to follow through and build that dream for Ted. Ted's the gentleman who owned this car for the last 10 years, and before that it was owned by a gentleman named John Daniels from Wellfleet, and it was in John's barn for a minimum of 40 years, if not a little bit more. So this car has been tucked away in pieces in the attic of an old barn, and then in the back corner of an old auto repair shop for the last 50 plus years. And now I own it, and you guys all know it, and I'm just super excited to have it and to hopefully end up with a really cool hot rod by the time it's all said and done. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you learned something. Next video is going to be the transmission cross member. After that, I'm going to get the steering column set in the frame rail. Going to get the body put on the car. I'm going to get the patch panels done. Once the patch panels are done, I think what I'll do is I'm going to weld. What's that squeaking noise? I'm going to weld the floor panels to the outer quarters, and then I'm going to get everything sprayed with red oxide primer inside the car, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done in there, maybe except for some seam sealing. But besides that, that'll be it. And then I'll get underneath, weld it up and sprayed, get the body put back on. Like I said, the patch panels will be done. I may end up spraying the whole thing with red oxide primer, but we'll see. We'll see what I have for time. And I'm only going to add a few more things. I got some tail lights I'm going to put in the car, headlights. Probably put some headlights on the car. Got a few sets I'm not married to. I don't mind moving them along to someone. So I'll probably throw some headlights, whip up some headlight stands on the car and throw those on the car. I just want to make it look like a complete car and offer it to the next guy with some really cool parts on it. I have a grill shell. I have a cut down radiator already for it that I know is a good radiator. Just trying to make it add the value to the car for the next guy, so it's easier for him to finish, because truthfully I hope someone local buys it, kinda. And now that it's kind of a cool car, that I can see the thing get finished and driven. So things have kind of come full circle, haven't they? So alright everyone, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. And we'll see you soon. Take care everyone. Bye bye.